So let's continue our discussion here. We've had several videos, look them up on the channel, related to filters and using the OData filter query within the get items from SharePoint. And today we're going to talk about how to get around one of the problems that you may not know about, but just in case you've run into this. Here we have a field within our SharePoint environment that's a calculated field. And what I'm doing here is I'm just taking some numbers here, date reported plus 10. And if you look at the data itself, you'll see that it's essentially taking a date, an input date, and then giving me dates for reminders. Well, that doesn't work so well when you're trying to do a query that equals a date. In fact, calculated fields, to my knowledge, are not supported. So how do you get around that? Well, it's really not that tough. We can create another Power Flow to go ahead and update those dates for us with the date parameters that we want. So stay tuned. We're going to jump right to it. So long introduction. I apologize for that, but this is a real easy thing to do once you've kind of figured out that you have this problem. Remember, if you're trying to query, use a filter query here, and you can pull directly from the data. This is an actual data field that I'm pulling from, and it works great. But as soon as I try to pull from another field, for example, MA10, and I run this test, what you're going to see is that that the actual flow will fail. I could run it for you, but I got to turn it on, and it doesn't really matter that much because I'm going to show you how to work around it. So here, when an item is created inside of that area, now I have a different list here that I'm using for this, but let's see here, for example, we have these basic fields right here. And if you'd like to copy this, let me go ahead and show you the format for it real quick here. So if we go to settings, project settings, now you can see it right here. So I have a title, I have project manager, start date and due date, which are date and time fields, task, which is a choice field. So that's it. So no calculated fields. That's all I have within this projects area. And what I'm saying is that every time that a date comes in, when I put a new date in here for a start date, I wanted to add 8 days to it and put it as the due date. So I can do a sequence of dates if I wanted to, just like I did in this spreadsheet or list, except I'm not using the calculation within the list itself. And I apologize if this is getting a little confusing, but do this, set this list up. I promise you're going to like the way this turns out. So what's going to happen here is that we're going to say, hey, go ahead and look at this list. We're not going to add anything else, but when a new item is created in the projects list, this list right here, we're going to say, do this. And here is the trigger that you want to use. So here it is, add days, and let me go ahead and just add that real quick here. I'm going to add it right here to the notes, and then you can go ahead and pause the video if you like to see that. So here, add trigger, add days, trigger outputs, and then to the body, start date, comma, 8, comma, and then the date format. And that's all I want to add to that. Now what that will do is it will automatically compose this for me inside of this. And then, as you can see here, I run an update item to SharePoint. I point at the list. I plug in all of the stuff. But right there, there's the ticket right there. Notice it says outputs compose. Here it is right there. That is the output. So let's go ahead and see this bad boy in motion here. Save and test. And let's go ahead and go over to that list here. Now it's waiting for me to add. So let's just go ahead and do an edit here. And we're just going to say test run 2. And we're going to put in my name here. We're going to put in today's date. We're going to skip that. And we're going to put in choice number 3. We're going to hit exit. So now we have test run 2. The script should run here. The flow should run here in just a moment. As you see, it's working on it. It ran successfully. And now we can go ahead and go back to that list. Of course, well, it's blank. Well, that's because I haven't refreshed. Eventually, it will refresh itself, but I'm refreshing it now. and there it is right there. It changed the date to 7/17. Now I could change that inside of here any way that I want, but that's how I did it. We could also go in here and look at the outputs, so we can see the output is 7/17, and that we can see that this item, when created, we can see what the original date was as well. We can copy, and then we can go to Code Beautify and take a look at this and go up and see the body itself. Test run 2. We can see start date, and then down here eventually we're going to find the date that we're looking for. So you can troubleshoot here as well, but it looks like everything ran fine. You can see that the output worked fine. And then if you go here to update item, you can see here again we can copy this data, pump it into here, Control A, Control V, and then we can see, although that data didn't do anything for us, but you can get the idea here. Start date, due date, everything worked perfectly.